This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Thank you for listening to the Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast, where we discuss everything there is to know in the world of sports. I'm Ben.
And I'm Alex. I throw you off there.
As you were kind of like imitating me, I looked at you and you had a funny face, and you kind of did throw me off there. You threw me a curveball there. No pun intended.
Swing and a miss. Okay, boom, I'm on fire already. So, since I'm on so much fire, let's just go ahead and get the fact of the day out of the way.
Rhyming.
All right, so you ready for this?
Y'all ready for this?
No. This is not a sports fact.
But?
It is not relevant in any sense of the word.
But
it's a fun fact.
There we go.
And that is the point. Sideburns are named after American Civil War General Burnside, who had the amazing
lamb chops.
Lamb chops to mustache, so it was like that weird wing, where your chin is and pretty much chin to like just outside your jawline is completely free. And the thing was too, the dude was balding like to the back of the middle of his head, so he just had hair from about the half of his head down, right, and then mustache to the sideburn. It's literally the definition of a Civil War style looking dude.
Did you know that I knew that?
Did you?
I did.
Wow.
Are you impressed?
I am impressed by that. That is a good bit of knowledge to know. That is the definition, I feel like, of a useless fact.
Well, that's what a history class will teach you. Because that's where I learned it from.
I feel like, you and I went to high school together. I feel like we even had a history class at the same time one time. And I do not ever recall learning that in high school. I forgot where I learned that.
I didn't learn it in high school. I learned it in a college course. But I did know that. So, I mean, I'm sure there's people listening that did not know that, though. So now they know. Well, and maybe it'll encourage them to grow some just fantastic sideburns.
Did you know that there's a town in Mexico where people have a huge fist fight just to ask the gods for a rainy season?
No.
There you go. There's a fact that you didn't know today.
Boom.
You guys got lucky. You got 2 facts today.
We teased you a little bit today.
Well, let's tease the show and tell them what we're going to talk about.
There we go.
I'm on fire today.
Alex on fire. So we are going to start off the show talking about Chargers first-round pick out of Ohio State, Joey Bosa, defensive end. He is still holding out from camp. And yesterday, there was some news that broke saying that he basically declined the Chargers' best offer. And then Bosa and his side saying, well, that's not necessarily the case. So after that, we're going to take our first break, of course. Then we're going to jump in talking about the Denver Broncos and their quarterback carousel between quarterbacks Trevor Siemian, Mark Sanchez, and Paxton Lynch, the first-round draft pick from Memphis. We're going to be talking about who we believe should start and who we believe will be starting. And then we're going to close out the show with our ever so popular and really my favorite segment of every show, What's Trending. We have great trending stories featuring people like James Harden, as well as Ryan Lochte, among others.
I feel like Lochte, has been in the news no matter what lately.
Well, he's
no
making
matter
more,
what the guy can
he's making
do.
more news about a possibility of doing something. So
okay.
I have to fill you in when it's time.
Okay. Well, real quick, I do want to say, did you know, maybe not, I'm sure you probably did, but just a couple minutes ago, Cristiano Ronaldo was named the UEFA Best Player in Europe for the second time in his career.
Yes, I did know, because they announced that right after they have the Champions League draw, which just finished maybe 20, 25 minutes ago. So it came down to Cristiano Ronaldo, as well as his Real Madrid teammate Gareth Bale, and fellow La Liga member of Atletico Madrid, Antoine Griezmann.
Yes, sir. And then for the women's side, Ada Hegerberg did win the UEFA Women's Player of the Year.
Yeah, that's really like the second big award for individual player. The big one is given at the end of the year. That's the Ballon d'Or. So that's about They usually reveal it in January, and then they also reveal the team of the year, the best 11. So you could pretty much sort of pencil in Cristiano Ronaldo a member of that team as well. And really, in my opinion, probably the favorite for the Ballon d'Or this year after winning the Champions League as well as the European Championship with Portugal.
All right. I like it. You're so knowledgeable.
I try to be. I do love soccer.
You do.
You know, this is my favorite sport.
Yeah, and my favorite is football. So let's move into football and talk Chargers, lineman, defensive end, rookie. I guess you could say Chargers. I mean, kind of. I mean, I feel like I'm just as much of a Charger than he is.
Well, let's say he drafted them, but he's not.
He was drafted by them. Yes,
not officially contracted by them
yet.
yet.
So as Ben said, the Chargers pulled their latest offer to Bosa after reportedly he turned it down, but that quite necessarily might not be the case. I don't know what's going on here, man. So yesterday it was initially announced that they did pull the offer from him. In the statement they presented to Bosa, the offer apparently included an initial signing bonus payment that is larger than any rookie has received in the past 2 NFL drafts, more money in 2016 than every rookie in the year except for Carson Wentz, and the largest payment and the highest percentage of a signing bonus received in the first calendar year of any Chargers first-round pick since the adoption of the NFL's collective bargaining agreement in 2011. But something held them out from signing that. I don't know what it is.
Well, Bosa went on to say that that wasn't necessarily the case, you know. So according to a source familiar with the negotiation, the Chargers offered to pay Bosa 85% of his $17 million signing bonus at the time of signing, and the rest would be in the new league calendar year in March. So he'd have to wait, you know, another 7 months, roughly. So he would get 85%, of the $17 million now, and then get the rest in March. I don't know what he's doing here. Obviously, we talked about this a few weeks ago on the show. Bosa's kind of holding out because obviously the rookie contracts are kind of set in stone. You definitely have.
There's a like it's cookie cutter. It's
right.
There's only an extent of what you can change.
Right. So it's kind of set in stone. So what Bosa's kind of holding out here for is that he wants his guaranteed money now, as opposed to waiting maybe until year 2 or year 3 of his contract. It's guaranteed no matter what, but he wants it now as opposed to later. Mm-hmm. So now what the Chargers are saying is we are looking at giving him 85% of it now and the rest of it in March, and yet he still doesn't want to do that. Bosa and his team are really saying that's not necessarily the case. But anyways, I don't get what he's trying to do here. You would think that the dream and accomplishment of playing in the NFL, getting your first contract would outweigh exactly what the details of it are and when you're getting the guaranteed money. But that's not the case here.
Yeah, and I mean, the longer he's out, this is obviously putting a damper on his rookie season. I mean, I don't even know how much he's going to be able to play this year. Say a deal gets done right absolutely now. You know what I mean? So that's the downside of it. You know what I mean? He can't be traded this year at all.
Yeah, they can't trade his rights.
Yeah, so that, you know, it's like I really don't know how much he can play this year, you know? He's missed all of training camp. He's missed rookie OTAs. He missed regular OTAs. He missed off-season workouts. I think he showed up to some of the off-season workouts. But, I mean, this has really made the possibility of his rookie year very, the value of it went down substantially. And then again, too, him staying out, who knows the kind of conditioning he's keeping himself in.
Exactly.
It puts him at more of risk to possibly be injured, too. So
exactly. You said
this could all be for nothing. This could be a lost rookie year for him.
Yeah, because you said say he signs right now. Who knows when he'll be ready to play? That goes on to what you just said. Like, he still has to work in with the team, get his fitness level back up, his conditioning level, adapt to the changes from the college game to the NFL game. He has to do all of that by time September 11th starts, which would be their first game. There's no way he's going to be able to do that in a little over 2.5 weeks. Mm-hmm. Just not going to happen.
Excuse me. Yeah. Sorry,
yeah, there's no way. And like I said, you would think that the dream of playing in the NFL and wanting your first contract would outweigh exactly what the details are.
Yeah.
What worries me about Joey Bosa is if he's so concerned about getting his money now, I think two things. One, I think he's definitely a head case. He's going to be a problem person. Going to have a bad character.
If it is him. I've seen contracts, I've seen issues where, with Crabtree, his rookie year, he said, there got to a point where he said, man, I just want to play football. Get it done, to his agent, and they got it done. So, it could be that sense,
Yeah,
probably not. But
so I feel like if he's already arguing over all this stuff and maybe saying, oh, what if they cut me in like a couple of years? I won't have the money right away. Like, okay, if he's already going to be a problem, then I think this is going to be with him his whole career. You know what I mean? And also, if he's so worried about getting cut and everything, does he personally believe he really has what it takes to be a successful NFL player? Mm-hmm. If he's so worried about, oh, what if they cut me? What if I'm not doing too well? Then he has maybe a doubt in his mind that he's not going to be what a number 3 pick in the NFL draft is supposed to be.
Yeah, that or he's just too overly focused on money. I mean, they had until August 9th, to sign his contract in order for the Chargers to trade him at any point, but obviously that didn't happen. He's only permitted to sign with the Chargers up until the day of the 2017 draft, in which he could be drafted again if he so chose, but he wouldn't be drafted as high as he was, obviously, I assume, because of sitting out an entire year. So I'd say it's more likely for him to be signed before the Week 1 game starts because he would still get guaranteed money. After that, it's kind of nothing. He doesn't really get anything.
Do you think any of this has to do with where he is? The San Diego Chargers, who had the 3rd worst record last year, do you think that has anything to do with it? Do you think any of this would happen if, say, he got drafted by, I'm going to say Dallas, or I'm going to say like one of the New York teams?
Maybe only because the language in the contract apparently is something that San Diego does, not necessarily the team itself. As a football player, if I'm as good as he was coming out and you see a team that is a little better than they were last year but isn't that great, and you have the competitiveness inside you take it as, at least I see it, as people would take it as, okay, they drafted me to make them better. So clearly I'm here for a reason, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I guess there's maybe some truth to it. Like, I kind of compare this, ironically, to Eli Manning when he got drafted by the Chargers.
Yes and
he was like, I'm not gonna play there. Then they swapped with
but
the Giants.
But that was just he didn't want to play there. I don't know if it's a sense that he doesn't want to play for San Diego, but in that it's still the case that he doesn't want to play for them and what they're offering him.
Right. So I mean, maybe there's some truth to it. I don't know, but I just think he's making a big time mistake. He's really hurting his character, his image. Like, if I was a GM, I would basically cross Bosa off any possibilities of trying to pick him up if something were to happen, because he's just going to be, in my opinion, a character head case. Mm-hmm. So I'd be done with him, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I mean, this isn't the first time somebody's reported late to Chargers camp either. LaDainian Tomlinson had a holdout for 30 days, Quentin Jammer 50 days, Phillip Rivers back in 2004, 25 days, Sean Marion 7 days, and Corey Legent 8 days. And it is now so far the longest since the current CBA has been made. Michael Crabtree, as I mentioned earlier, did not sign his deal until October 7th, day after my birthday, boom. And Bryant McKinney currently holds the longest rookie remaining unsigned record, and that is November 1st.
Yeah, there's been definitely a history in the past. I look at Jamarcus Russell with the Raiders, you know, as well as the ones you mentioned. But it's a lot different now because you have, like you mentioned, the cookie cutter. You have sort of these rookie contracts almost edged in stone. There's no real room to sort of negotiate and differentiate, which you had in the past where people like Sam Bradford, Jamarcus Russell were getting $50, $60 million guaranteed right away as soon as they signed the dot and got drafted. You had a really open negotiation to sign them to whatever you wanted. So there was a lot more leeway room as there is now.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's interesting. It's weird, and it's going to be interesting to see what goes on. It really is.
What's your prediction? What do you think happens?
I think it gets it done. I just think
before the season?
Yeah, but it's just going to be, I feel like it's just going to be a lost season, you know? Like I said before, it's just going to be, he's not going to play for a while, and I feel like if he does too soon, he might get injured.
I think it's a good possibility. They seem like on such opposite sides of the spectrum here, really sort of butting heads. And we said that with Von Miller, and then the next day they got a deal signed. So I don't know what to expect. I'm gonna say something gets done within the week.
Okay.
I think they finally both just kind of give in to each other, and you know, something gets done.
Okay. We'll keep you updated on that. Obviously, we'll be back with new shows next week, and if something happens over the weekend, we will let you know. But we'll take our first break here. Be right back at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast to talk Broncos quarterback situation sticking in the AFC West.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And we are back here at the Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast. Currently, round one action. We have the Barclays, the tournament. Alex, you love that golf, one of your mains. So we have the Barclays going on in the first round. We have Patrick Reed is the clubhouse leader at 5 under through the day, as well as Martin Laird at 5 under through 17 holes. So maybe he can get a birdie in the last hole and become the clubhouse leader. As well as in Major League Baseball, we have a couple of matinee games going on. We have in the second inning, the Detroit Tigers and the Minnesota Twins are tied at 0-0. As well in the second inning, we have the Boston Red Sox and the Tampa Bay Rays at 0-0. David Ortiz for the Red Sox, Alex, just continues to put on a monster year in his last year. He's now got 10 seasons of 100 RBIs or more. And he's also, just last night, with his 32nd home run, he has the most home runs in a season by a person over 40 years old.
Yeah, he is killing it. I talked about it on the episode I did by myself when you were doing the All-Star Game coverage, and he's just having a renaissance season. It is really impressive to see. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised. Like I said, he's having his best season in his last season, and he's over 40 years old. That's incredible. So
that's a good farewell tour.
And they're definitely going to need him, the Red Sox, if they're trying to push towards that playoff spot, as we mentioned on Tuesday's show. Currently in a battle with the Baltimore Orioles and the Toronto Blue Jays in that AL East division race.
Yes, sir. All right, moving in back to football, we're going to talk Broncos quarterback situation. Obviously, we're heading into week 3 of the preseason against the Rams are playing against the Broncos this week. Trevor Siemian is going to be the starter. Sanchez had some starts this week, and then, of course, the rookie Paxton Lynch has impressed as well. So far, each quarterback is sitting pretty similar in their percentage completions. We have 65.4% for Trevor Siemian, 163 yards. He is the only quarterback to have thrown no touchdowns. He hasn't taken any sacks. He had an ugly interception last week. They have Mark Sanchez, who's 66.7, just 1.3 tenths of a point ahead of Siemian there. 219 and 1 TD. He has 1 interception. It was kind of a bad interception. It was tipped, though, so he did have 2 fumbles, and he has taken sacks, which has been a problem in his career. And then you have 63.6% completion percentage for Paxton Lynch, rookie out of Memphis. 187 yards. He does have 2 touchdowns, so leading the club in that. He has 1 interception, but I told you when we were recapping week 2 action, it was kind of an iffy interception late in the game, trying to drive. He threw it high. That's a mistake. You'll see any quarterback make nowadays. And he has taken 6 sacks. Again, that is a skewed number, seeing he's often playing with the third team. So you look at it that way. Now, Ben, we did say we're going to discuss who we want or who we think might necessarily take this job, and then who we think and who we want to take it. I think is what you said. Yeah. So who do you think? Well, actually, let's put it this way: would you want to start in the situation?
You know what? I would honestly start Paxton Lynch right away. Okay, I realize there's maybe some concern over if he's ready or not, but you drafted this guy to be your quarterback of the future. You traded up into the first round, the back end of that first round, to get him, to make him your quarterback of the future. I realize he's maybe not ready right away, but what do you honestly expect out of him right away? You're going to be a team that runs the ball. Look at Gary Kubiak. He runs the ball, play action, and a strong defense. That's what carried them to win the Super Bowl last year, running the ball and the strong defense. They didn't have great quarterback play from Peyton Manning and Brock Osweiler, but they had maybe what you could say is that experience, a little bit of that leadership. They didn't have great quarterback play. So I would honestly go with Paxton Lynch right away. What do you have to lose? Okay, you have to try and make him your franchise quarterback. The only way to do that is to get him playing time. I don't think, well, obviously that's not going to be the case, at least right away, week 1. What I think they should do then is go with Sanchez over Siemian because he has that experience. Trevor Siemian has never thrown a pass in the NFL in the regular season, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Sanchez has led 2 teams to the AFC Championship game when he was with the Jets. Mark Sanchez is not a guy who's going to light up the scoreboard, put up MVP caliber stats. He's going to be, your average middle of the road quarterback.
Yeah.
What you got to expect and hope out of Sanchez is that he doesn't have those 1 or 2 plays a game where you kind of just throw your hands up and go, well, what are you doing? You got to just hope that he can sort of be a game manager and not really a leader at quarterback. Hand the ball, be good in play action, turn it over to the defense, keep the team competitive, and just not turn the ball over. So I think they're going to go with Sanchez. Although he hasn't really stood out in the preseason, nobody else has either. So I'd say they're going to go with Sanchez.
Okay. Excuse me. So I would want, in my opinion, I would kind of want Siemian to start. From what I've seen of him, he has been impressive. He doesn't put the ball in danger much, which is what you need for a team that has a good defense. You get the short field. They're going to have that running game. He's a quarterback that doesn't make many mistakes. So I would want to see him. And he's the only quarterback that was on the roster last year. He knows the offense better than both of these quarterbacks put together currently. I think Lynch just, nowadays, you need to protect those investments. You need to build, let his knowledge get behind that big arm of his, Let him really learn that offense because he will be the guy next year, in my opinion. In the flip-flop, I think it really is going to depend on how he plays in this game upcoming because if Siemian doesn't show, then my guess as who's going to start the season is Sanchez.
So you think if Siemian plays good in week
3, I think
3,
he definitely start.
Then he's going to start week 1?
I think he could, yes. But if he doesn't show up in this game, if he has another game where he doesn't really take charge of it, throws another interception possibly, I think Sanchez starts this game purely based off the fact that he has the experience in the regular season, piloting teams with good defenses to playoff appearances and deep playoff runs, winning a lot of games those 2 years. He took the Jets to the AFC Championship games. So I think it'd be Sanchez purely based off of the been there, done that, experience that he would have. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What I find interesting in this whole sort of build up to this, because I think after week 3, we'll not necessarily have it announced, but Kubiak will have an idea of who his starter is going to be. Because game 3, as we mentioned in our last episode, pretty much a dress rehearsal. You kind of have everything edged in stone after week 3 of who your starters are. So I think after this game, Gary Kubiak, John Elway, and the Broncos are going to have a good idea of who their quarterback's going to be. When you look at Gary Kubiak's offensive system, it really fits Mark Sanchez perfectly. Mm-hmm. Run the ball, play action. Mark Sanchez has had success with play action. Think about the time he had with the Jets. I really compare it to the Broncos. Good defense, running game, solid wide receivers. Santonio Holmes in New York.
Braylon Edwards.
Exactly. In Denver now he has Demaryius Thomas,
Probably
Emmanuel
better
Sanders.
offense, I would say.
Right. So really a comparison between the two I think is really perfect. But he hasn't really ran away with it yet.
Yeah, that's been my one issue is why I say if Siemian could have a good game, they'll give it to him as the incumbent because he has the experience in the offense.
Yeah, and it's what I find interesting, like I said, is if Sanchez is in a perfect situation, why isn't he really taking full advantage of it? He's not. So that's definitely where I think it helps Trevor Siemian, and I think that's why he's getting the start tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think they really just wanted to see a little bit more out of him. They've seen what Sanchez looks like to start. He took most of the first team reps throughout OTAs and training camp. As much as I love this season of Hard Knocks with the Rams, I would have loved to see the Broncos because, first of all,
there's some bigger storylines.
First of all, you had the Von Miller thing, right? You do have the little bit of the quarterback stuff with Goff and Keenum, but this would have been so much fun to see behind the scenes with Siemian and Sanchez and Paxton Lynch and everything that's going on. That's why I like Hard Knocks so much, is you see all these things going on. I would have loved to see this, see the rookie Paxton Lynch, see Sanchez, who, has been in the league before. He's rounding it out. And Siemian, he just seems like a guy who gets it. He's got a good arm. He's got an accurate arm. From what I've seen, his first throw I ever saw him throw in this preseason was a laser, like not necessarily a slant, but kind of a shallow post, like a hard post, kind of like a post length with a slant kind of in. And he was a beautiful completion pass, gunned it in there. And, I think if Siemian shows up in the game tomorrow, if he plays well, I see him starting week 1.
I agree with that. I think the one differentiant thing here, and the thing we're not really mentioning, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but it's that Simeon has that extra year of experience in Kubiak's offense that Sanchez doesn't have. I think that the Broncos definitely traded for Mark Sanchez to make him the starting quarterback this year.
At least have somebody that has done
experience.
It, have the depth at quarterback, because they had a rookie and a non, ever starter in the regular season.
Because obviously, what the Broncos' intentions were to re-sign Osweiler, make him that guy, but then he bolted to Houston, so you have to sort of make a change there. I think they brought in Sanchez to be that starter this year, but he hasn't really taken it and ran away with it, like we said. So I think when you look at Simeon, what you mentioned I think is really, really right and kind of on the point here. If he plays good tomorrow night with that first team against the starters of another team, against the starters of a team you're going to see probably at least through the first quarter, maybe even the first half, if he plays good against them, I think that he's definitely going to be the starter. But if he doesn't, I think it's Sanchez. But I still would go with Paxton Lynch. You got to give the young guy some time. You got to give him some reps. Put him out there.
I think you need to give him the time. Let him get as good as he can get before you throw him in the fire, because the offensive line isn't amazing. I mean, it's good.
But how good do you know how he can be if he hasn't been playing?
How good do you know he can be if he doesn't know the offense as well yet? You limit yourself.
You don't know how well
you
he
limit
knows the
your
offense,
team.
though.
But you think of it as Sanchez, having been in the league, you get offenses quicker, right? Simeon knows the offense. You have a rookie who still is learning the offense because you limit their plays. So do you want to limit your team by limiting plays just because you want to put Paxton in there?
I don't think you have to limit that much.
I think if you have bad games, you can really do something to a young quarterback in that sense, in the psyche.
I think there is truth to that.
I think it's better. I mean, you're in a good spot. You're the defending champions. You have arguably the best defense in the league. You have two quarterbacks who can help you win games because you don't need them to go out there and be world beaters. You don't need them to go out there and throw 300 yards. You could have them throw for sub 200 yards every game and maybe a touchdown or two and still win games with that defense. So I think you're in a perfect situation to let the kid sit. Let him sit.
You are, but I'm not. What I'm saying is I wouldn't let him sit.
Let me throw this to you before we take our second break, our last break. There's a quarterback drafted in the mid 2000s who they drafted him in the first round, and they let him sit. They let him sit for 4 or 3 years.
I already know where you're going with this.
And he's one of the best in the league to ever play the position.
But he sat behind Brett Favre.
Exactly.
You're talking about Aaron Rodgers.
I'm talking about Aaron Rodgers, but I'm not saying. I'm purely saying that they let him sit. They knew what they had with him, and they could have started him. And they had Favre too, but eventually they said that we know what we have here. You sat there. You have your time. Same thing with Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger got drafted in the first round, and they still started Tommy Maddox up until I forget what week he got hurt. He was the intended starter. You have guys. Bortles didn't start right away, I don't think. If he did,
he started week 3.
If he did, Henny went into the season, or at least the preseason, as the starter. Tannehill wasn't expected to start right away. I'm just comparing guys, right? Wentz was drafted second overall and is not intended to start this year at all, excluding injuries or change of, 10 losses in a row, whatever. You drafted a guy second overall, and you're not going to start him, let alone a guy that drafted 28th or 9th or something. Let him sit. He has so much potential in my eyes. Let him sit. Let him really learn that offense, and next year I think he can really be something.
I know what you're saying, and I think it's a little different for the Broncos because they did not give up as much as the Rams did to get Goff and the Eagles did to get Wentz.
And
but
he's
I don't.
Still sitting,
but I don't agree with those two moves either, because I gave up really my franchise for the next 2 to 3 years to get this one guy, and I'm not going to play him right away.
I'm a little confused with that.
What sense does that make?
It's the money thing for me, but that's a whole other conversation.
You know what I mean?
It's the thing with money for me for Bradford. That's my thing.
And then you talked about Aaron Rodgers getting drafted by the Packers and sitting for 4 years. He sat behind Brett Favre.
That's the only one that was a little...
Arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. Just went into the Hall of Fame. Had every quarterback record before Peyton Manning just broke them. The Broncos don't have Brett Favre. They have Mark Sanchez.
Greatest quarterback. No, I know. I purely meant, they didn't have the intention to start him right away. And yes, they had a
legend.
You had a legend in the making, but you have to really, it's different every situation. Andrew Luck could start from day one because they knew he was ready to start day one. You have these guys, especially Paxton, who didn't run a professional style offense at all. I think it's best to let him sit.
Yeah, everybody's different, so.
But
we'll just agree to disagree.
This is true. If anybody but Trevor Siemian starts this season week 1,
It'll be Sanchez.
No, I'm saying yes, but I'm saying if anybody but Simeon starts Week 1 this year, it'll be the first time since the 2001 Ravens that a quarterback of the Super Bowl defending champions was not on the roster the year they won the Super Bowl and went on to start Week 1.
Fun fact.
Trent Dilfer won it. He was not there the next year. All right, we will take our last break and be right back with what's trending. Ben, I can't wait.
Neither can I.
All right, don't go anywhere here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, we're back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, and it's time for What's Trending. That is the segment, of course, where we talk about the trending stories of news that aren't quite big enough necessarily for their own segments, but definitely big enough and funny enough at times for us to talk about. So, Ben.
I think that was a perfect description.
Thank you. You or me, which one are we going with? I think I started first last time.
So that means it's my turn?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the ever so outspoken in the media last couple of weeks, Ryan Lochte.
Yeah, you call it outspoken.
So do you know what Ryan Lochte's next battle is going to be?
Dancing with the Stars.
Ding, 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 ding.
Really?
We have a winner.
I got it?
Yes.
Oh, man.
So reports are that Ryan Lochte will be set to join this season's cast of Dancing with the Stars.
Somebody should do a dance that's like the other dancer holds a fake gun to his face, and then he can finally say somebody held a quote-unquote gun to my face.
So Dancing with the Stars is set to premiere on Monday, September 12th. So that means they will be revealing the next cast pretty soon. Thoughts on Lochte in Dancing with the Stars?
Stupid. Just take a break. Stay out of the spotlight, man. Just stop.
But this is what they do because they know that Ryan Lochte, although it is negative publicity, any publicity is good publicity. People are going to watch this because maybe they hate Ryan Lochte.
I'm not talking Dancing with the Stars. I'm talking Lochte. Just stay quiet for a while,
But he can maybe repair some more of his image a little bit.
I guess. I'm just stay quiet. Just
I don't expect this to really end well. I think as far as Lochte's athleticism as a swimmer, I think he could probably dance pretty well. He has a really strong body, really physical specimen. I think he probably move pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is with Lochte is that everybody pretty much hates him right now. The way I don't watch Dancing with the Stars, but I know how the sort of cast and elimination goes. Is that they have the judges' scores and then they combine them with America's voting. Who is honestly going to vote for Ryan Lochte?
There's still some people that like him, I guess.
Who could possibly like Ryan Lochte after everything that happened within the past week or two?
I don't know, man. I really can't tell you.
Exactly.
I wouldn't.
So maybe if you're a real legit fan of ballroom dancing and he's doing quite well, maybe you'll vote for him because you want to see, honestly, the person you think is the best to win. But that's not necessarily the case. You have a lot of times a popularity contest going on, and Ryan Lochte is probably going to be the least popular person on this season. So I don't see him going very far. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, sounds about right to me. I'm not going to vote for him. I'm not going to watch the show, though, probably either. So there's a kind of a slight miss there.
Yeah, as I won't either, so.
All right, here we go. My first one. I only have two today. So, as you know, I'm a Washington State Cougar fan.
For football, yes.
Mm-hmm. For college sports, I suppose. I'll pay attention to them and other stuff, but especially football. I don't know if you're familiar with their team much in terms of players, other than maybe Luke Falk or Gabe Marks, two at the probably top in the nation at the positions up there.
I remember their receiver last name had the best name I've ever heard, River Craycraft.
I love River Craycraft.
That was great.
That dude is great. Yeah, number 21. That's a great number for a receiver. Yeah,
great name.
River Craycraft. There was a guy, I forget his name. Everybody used to call him Crab Hands because his last name was I forget his name, but it sounded like Crab. So
okay.
Yeah, same kind of thing. They've always had good receiver names, but yeah, Craycraft. I like Craycraft a lot. He's a down and dirty kind of guy. He goes through the middle, does the grunt work. Well, on the defense, which has gotten better the last few years, starting safety Shalom Luani, who started 13 games at safety last year after transferring from San Francisco City College. It was about 2 days ago, and he was reportedly inside a Domino's Pizza in Pullman. Pullman's a small town. I do enjoy Pullman. He was in there it was about 1:30 a.m., and he became verbally abusive while waiting for his pizza. I imagine
They're still open at 1:30 in the morning?
Domino's are open late, man. That's in their thing. Domino's open late. He was pretty upset, wanted his order. I don't know what was going on, but he is now charged with second-degree felony assault after reportedly punching a man in the face and breaking his nose over a late-night pizza.
Come on.
He wanted his pizza. They asked him. They said he should leave. The guy apparently said he should leave as well, and he hit him in the nose.
Gotta be smarter than that.
Probably going to get him a suspension, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I don't see him playing probably the whole year. They'll probably suspend him the whole year, I think.
No, you'll get when you get an assault charge, he'll get him suspended. I don't think a whole year.
I don't know. Mike Leach, who's the head coach, he's really, really, disciplinary. I don't see him going easy on him.
No, but I mean, it's also not his choice to suspend him. It's the NCAA's and the schools from there. But he will get suspended. Who knows how long? They could keep it as short as one game. If they only do one game, I think that's pretty weak. I think that's pretty bad. I'll see. I'll keep you guys updated when I get more news on him.
Especially over doing something that's so stupid as this over a pizza. Like, come on, dude. Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean,
you got to be smarter than that.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, man. All right, hit me with number 2.
Okay, this is going to be a story that maybe just warm your heart a little bit, okay?
Okay.
So if you need a tissue or something, feel free to step outside the door and go get one.
That's funny because my next one is not even close to heartwarming.
Because this might just do it for you.
Okay.
So a Polish discus thrower who put the silver medal he recently won at the Rio Olympics on auction to pay for the treatment of a 3-year-old boy with eye cancer. The auction ended earlier than sort of it was supposed to, after the richest couple in Poland bought it. So Piotr Malachowski, I think I did that right. He wrote on his Facebook page on Tuesday that he had prematurely ended the auction because Dominika and Sebastian Koltsevic declared their willingness to buy the silver medal for an amount which enables us to meet the goal set. The auction for the medal was at roughly $19,000 when it got pulled down. So he auctioned off his silver medal to pay for treatment of a 3-year-old boy's eye cancer.
That's very nice.
So heartwarming.
That's very awesome. I like it. That was a heartwarming one. Good job, Ben.
I tried to. The total cost of the surgery is going to be about $126,000, but a third of it was already raised by the Polish foundation Sia Pomaja.
Okay.
And, obviously they're raising even more money by auctioning off his medal, Piotr Malachowski. That's a great story.
You're doing good at his names, man.
Well, yeah, in Poland, the W is like a V, almost like in German.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Piotr Malachowski.
Okay.
Great man.
Apparently, so really heartwarming. That's nice, Ben. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I might need a tissue. You might need a tissue for this next one. No, not a close.
Okay. You should say, because you said it wasn't, so I was like, what are you talking about?
You're familiar with Ricky Fowler, yes?
Yes.
So Ricky Fowler has been seen recently with a mustache, just a mustache,
Like a Steven Adams, just rocking it.
It looks closer to that, I would say, than like a Tom Selleck.
Or like a Burt Reynolds, he's not that...
Not as nice as Burt.
Doesn't have that Tom Selleck.
It's not a Burt, Tom Selleck looking mustache, no sir. It's not even a Ron Burgundy mustache. It is much closer to Steven Adams. It is not nice looking, I'll tell you that. Well, he was questioned about it at the start of the Barclays this week, and he says... Quote, this by no means is an attempt to look good. I wanted this to look as bad as possible.
Why?
They're having fun with it. Ricky Fowler has been a unique character his entire
I kind of compare him to like the swaggiest golfer.
He's the wild child.
You know what I mean? Like he wears like fitted hats that are like with the flat bill as opposed to the bent one. Mm-hmm. He had a interesting hairstyle with the Rio Olympics, like that undercut, sort of like you've got, but a lot like shorter on the sides. Mm-hmm. He's kind of like the swaggiest golfer. So he's trying to be hip, trying to be fresh, I guess.
It's not a good
look though.
It looks fine on him, but it makes him look a little creepy.
I'm gonna have to look this up.
Yeah, feel free. Yeah, it's a weird looking. It is definitely a weird looking mustache if we're being honest, because he grows. It's not very thick. He just grows the mustache. Every once in a while, he gets the soul patch going with it. A couple weeks ago, he had the mustache soul patch, a little bit of a chin going. You know, he just kind of looked a little creepy.
Okay, so this looks like... He looks like Adam Morrison. When Adam Morrison of Gonzaga and the Lakers used to have this. It's like not really filled in all the way. Mm-hmm. You know, it's kind of like little peach fuzzish.
And now he has short hair too, so it looks even more so funny.
It's kind of like he has like dirt on his lip, not really hair. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't think it's really a good look. It's not doing too well for him. So.
Yeah, he should not do that again.
All right, so moving on to my last story of the day.
All right.
I kind of teased this to you, so you kind of saw a picture of it already. But reportedly, the leaked picture of James Harden's first signature shoe with Adidas has come out. And if you thought the Chef Curry 2 lows were bad, then just wait till you get a picture. Wait till you get a look at this picture of James Harden's shoe. So, Alex, you described it, what a lot of people are describing it as. It looks like a boot.
It looks like something that's not finished yet. That is my biggest thing. It does not look finished.
It's possible. I really don't know. We're only getting... Are you looking at the picture right now?
I closed it, but I have a pretty good memory of what it looked like.
It literally has no design to it whatsoever.
That's what makes me think it's not done.
It's literally all black, like leather. There's literally no design to it at all. Just all black. On the back, it looks like... On the heel, it looks like maybe there's
some kind of like raised logo. I saw that
some
too.
sort. Like it almost looks like a 2, which wouldn't really make sense because James Harden wears number 13. Mm-hmm. But it looks almost like a 2. Like there is some sort of raised logo in the back. It looks absolutely terrible, and people on Twitter are not being shy about roasting it. So people are tweeting such things as that Harden shoe is indefinitely worse than the Curry shoe. Or James Harden's shoe looks like a damn boot, shaking my head. My favorite one.
Go ahead, yeah.
This is my favorite one.
I'll tell you my next.
When did James Harden sign a shoe deal with Carhartt?
My favorite was
work brand, you know.
My favorite was James Harden's new shoe looks like something Frankenstein would wear to the gym.
Yeah, like everyone is just absolutely roasting this shoe. Like, if this is the final design, just how bad is this?
Yeah, I don't think it's done. I really don't.
It looks terrible.
It does, but again, I don't think it's done. We'll see what happens.
I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I don't think this would come out if it's not done.
I actually have one more what's trending because it's breaking news as of a minute ago.
Go for it.
The Patriots have traded for former first-round pick Barkevious Mingo of the Browns.
Wow, okay.
Mingo was a 6th overall pick in 2013. The Browns didn't pick up his 5th-year option. He was scheduled to become a free agent anyways, so they said, hey, why not get some deals done, get something back for it. I have no idea what exactly they got for him, but...
I would expect not much. If the Browns were getting ready to cut him, I'd say...
No, not getting ready to cut him. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option, so they're going to let us play his
let him go.
His final year out. But that's the thing is they decided to trade him and get something for him rather than just let him be a free agent. So.
Right, but with that being said, I don't think the Browns are going to get much back for him. I'd say at most maybe a 5th-round pick.
Yeah, I'm saying they got a draft pick at least, but yeah, that's...
breaking news.
That's breaking news right there, and we always like to keep you up to date. Bing, bang, boom on the GSMC Sports Podcast. So, Ben.
Yes?
Why don't you let them know where they can find us, because it's time to go.
It is time to go. You can find us on a number of great things. You can find us on our GSMC Podcast Network homepage. It's gsmcpodcast.com. You can also find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, all those great media playback options. And then you can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at GSMC_sports. And then we're also on YouTube, GSMC Podcast Network's on YouTube, as well as you can like us on Facebook and get links to everything about the GSMC Podcast Network.
That is true. You can do that.
It's very true.
We'd like to thank you guys for listening, as always. We might have a new schedule next week. We will try to keep you up to date as best as we can with that. But as of right now, we're not entirely sure. The only difference would be we'd go from Tuesday, Thursdays, in terms of when we recorded, to
Monday, Wednesday.
So don't fret, young folks out there. We will always be here at the GSMC Sports Podcast. As always, I am Alex.
I'm Ben.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening. We will see you next week. Again, what day that is, we are not positive, but we will be here, as always. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye, guys.